My name's Simon Pettigrew. I head up the stakeholder engagement team in the Northern Ireland Customs Policy Unit in HMRC, and I'm here to talk about the implementation of the Windsor framework. Following the guidance that was issued in September 2024, there's been extensive preparatory work for the new arrangements for goods moving from Great Britain to Northern Ireland and parcels and freight. As a result, and subject to the relevant processes, the new arrangements are planned to take effect from the 1st of May 2025. So the UK Internal Market Scheme, or UKIMS, replaces the previous UK Trader Scheme, and that allows businesses moving goods from Great Britain to Northern Ireland to do so not at risk of entering the European Union. That means that those goods can move without having to pay any customs duty, where they are eligible and for sale to or end use by a consumer located in Northern Ireland. UKIMS will also allow businesses to benefit from the simplified processes for internal market movements when the new arrangements come into effect. That will allow businesses to use the internal market movement information and also have access to the trader goods profile. Those facilitations will allow businesses to move goods into Northern Ireland with less burdens as they do currently. So you can apply for UKIMS on gov.uk. There's guidance on gov.uk to tell you how to do that, and do that through your Business Gateway account. There's three things probably to be aware of when you're applying for UKIMS. Firstly, if you do not have an EORI number currently, it's important to make sure you do that. You'll need either a GB and/or XI EORI when you apply. So if you don't have one currently, you can apply for one on gov.uk. Secondly, if you're not established in Northern Ireland, you will require an indirect customs representative, and you'll need to tell us who that is on your application. Now that can be the free-to-use trader support service, or it could be your parcel carrier if you're moving parcels. But you will need to tell us on your application who that is, so important to make sure you do so. And thirdly, you'll need to let us know how you'll hold records in your systems to show the goods are for sale to or end use by consumers located in Northern Ireland. So you'll need to demonstrate that your goods are not at risk of entering the European Union, and you'll need to be able to tell HMRC how you'll hold that information in your systems. It's important to be as thorough as possible in your application to tell us how you will do that, and that will ensure your application goes through smoothly. So one of the important things that UKIMS brought in was that it is open to any business established in the United Kingdom. So that could be the business sending the goods in Great Britain, the business receiving the goods in Northern Ireland, or a business involved in the physical movement of the goods, such as a haulier or a freight forwarder. In the scenario where goods are moving from Great Britain to Northern Ireland and multiple businesses have a UKIMS authorisation, it's a commercial decision as to whose UKIMS authorisation to use, but the important things to think about are who is able to make the determination that the goods are eligible for UKIMS, i.e. that they are for sale to or end use by consumers located in Northern Ireland, and to hold that information in their records. That will then determine whose UKIMS is best to use for those goods moving. So the parcels arrangements under the Windsor framework bring in new processes depending whether the goods are moving to a business in Northern Ireland or to a consumer in Northern Ireland. If the parcel is moving directly to a consumer in Northern Ireland, and by a consumer we mean a private individual, there will be a new consumer route for those goods. That will mean that those goods can move directly to the consumer without the need for a customs declaration, without the need for a safety and security declaration, and there'll be no duty due regardless of the value of the goods. For those goods to move, the person or business who's physically moving the goods would be authorised under the UK Carrier Scheme, and there's guidance on gov.uk about applying for that. The business who's sending the parcel from Great Britain does not need to sign up for UKIMS, and they'll just need to provide standard commercial information to their parcel carrier to allow those goods to move. It's important to note there are some weight limits for these goods to move. So if you're moving parcels direct to consumer and the parcel is a single item, it can weigh up to 100 kilograms. If it has multiple items in the parcel, it weighs up to 31.5 kilograms. Now, where the parcels are moving direct to a business in Northern Ireland, the simplified processes that we talked about earlier under UKIMS apply, and businesses where the sending business or the receiving business has a UKIMS authorisation will be able to benefit from the internal market movement information, which is the reduced data set, and they will not have to pay duty. Where the parcels move and there is no UKIMS authorisation, the current processes that are in place for freight under the Windsor framework will apply, and that means that the full customs processes will apply, and the business may have to pay the applicable rate of duty subject to any waivers or reliefs. The duty can be fully reclaimed, however, if the goods did not enter the EU, and that can be done via the duty reimbursement scheme. Again, there's guidance on gov.uk about how to apply for that. So if you're the business in Great Britain sending parcels direct to a consumer in Northern Ireland, you will only have to provide standard commercial information as you do now. That will include the name and address of yourself sending the parcel, the name and address of the person receiving the parcel, the total value of the parcel, the weight of the parcel, and a plain English goods description of what is in the parcel, and that's for each good in the parcel. You will not have to provide commodity codes, you won't have to provide the EORI numbers or UKIMS authorisations for any goods moving through this route directly to a consumer in Northern Ireland. So I think there's three things I would say that businesses should think about before the new arrangements come into effect from the 1st of May. Firstly, if you do not have a UKIMS authorisation currently, but you move goods that are eligible, either for final sale or end use by a consumer located in Northern Ireland, I would make sure that you apply for that. That will make sure that those goods can do so without having to pay duty, and when the new arrangements come into effect, you'll be able to benefit from the facilitations that come in. Secondly, I would make sure that if you have UKIMS authorisation, I would look to set up your trader goods profile. The trader goods profile is a unique system that holds information of the goods that a business regularly moves, and that will allow businesses to pre-populate some of the information from your goods profile to the IMI as those goods move. The final thing I would make sure you do is to speak with your supply chain. So make sure the sending business, the receiving business, and the people moving the goods understand roles and responsibilities, particularly as we touched on whose UKIMS to use, and also make sure that the data that's required is shared. That will mean that the goods continue to move smoothly and efficiently. So HMRC have published extensive guidance on gov.uk. You can look on there to get more information about the new arrangements coming into effect and how that impacts your goods moving from Great Britain to Northern Ireland. You can also speak to the Trader Support Service, which is free to use, and they can provide information and advice to help you move your goods from Great Britain to Northern Ireland. If you're moving parcels from Great Britain to Northern Ireland, it's important that you speak with your parcel carrier to understand their processes to help move those goods smoothly and efficiently. Please also go to our comms resource page. That includes links to previous comms that we have issued and webinars that we've run for further information to help build your readiness for the new arrangements coming into effect.